And welcome into In-Game Chat for Saturday, May 10th, 2025, Season 19, Episode 15, as he hits the mic. 810 is where we're at so far. I'm Scott.
And I'm RJ.
Welcome into the show. We had a week off, and now we're back. If you want to get in touch with us, well, Discord's a good way to do it, or you can email us. Everyone at ingamechat.net. You can leave a message on Facebook if you'd like to as well. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Twitter. All of those that you can find us there as well. Join us live while we chat it up. I see Steve is in Discord. I doubt that he is listening, but I came across a Facebook post of his wife, and they had some fantastic news just recently. With one of their children. Just really, really great news. And so, Steve, if you're listening right now, or if you're listening later, whenever that maybe you go back and listen to this, I have no idea, but congratulations on that. Fantastic news. So, just really, really good news. Their child's cancer-free. So, she got to ring the bell, and, it's fantastic. Just great news. So, really, really happy for them. Anyway, welcome into the show. Yeah, we've been away for a week, and apparently some stuff went down. Some things happened. Not just it was things were happening leading into next weekend, and then things happened this past week leading into this one. So, there's a lot to talk about, and we're going to get into all of it. Most of it is overshadowed, of course, by what happened this week. Most of the stuff that happened the week prior is now overshadowed by what happened this week, this past week. So, yeah, but we'll try and hit up both. Two big stories. But anyway, let's jump into what we have played. RJ, I throw it to you, my friend.
Well, for the most part, I've been playing the First Descendant. Again, I've been unlocking some more characters to use in the game, so it's getting to the point where I'm going to have to start getting some slots for me to use my characters, because I think I've got about 12 right now, and...
Excuse me. Yeah. Go ahead.
You good?
I just swallowed wrong. It's fine. Go
ahead. Yeah, but anyway, I've got like 12 characters. Got 12 characters out of the 24 I think is available. Most of them are the Ultimate line, so I've been grinding and getting those folks available so I can use them up throughout the game. Getting some more equipment and gear. It's basically a bunch of grinding for parts and stuff so I can get the bigger, better equipment more than anything else, really, as opposed to storyline. And just playing with folks and having fun with that. More time with Virtua Fighter 5, of course, since I'm still playing that Sunday League. I just need to go ahead and just play more to perform better, because I've had a couple of bad runs in tournament play. It's still fun, by the way. I'm still having fun playing the tournament because I get to play with folks and try to adjust my style of play anyway.
I was about to ask if you've got anything coming up as far as tournaments concerned.
Well, just the usual Sunday Akai leagues every Sunday that I do, and I did miss one from I think Tampa Never Sleeps. I think they did one. It was a huge online event, but I just missed it. A whole bunch of folks got on there, and a lot of folks were trying to tell me, I'm surprised you missed it. Yeah, just slipped by me. But I said the next time this comes up, I'll be sure to join that one, because it was an online tournament, and I couldn't get a real chance to play on those.
You're gearing up they're all online. Nothing you're going to be driving away for, right?
No.
Okay. Final round, stuff like that. It's already done.
No, not like that. But if something does come up and I got the chance to, I'll I'd be sure to give that a shot.
Actually, yeah, you got
about planning.
Yeah, you got conventions coming up or something, right? You got anything soon?
Probably not anytime soon. Maybe late in the year, probably something like that.
Really? Okay.
Maybe late in the year, probably something like that. But nothing.
I thought there was something during the summer you went to, but I could be wrong.
Well, if it was AWA, that's been pushed back a lot.
That got pushed back. I know.
Pushed back. A lot of things get pushed back for reasons, various reasons, really. But outside of that, a little bit more Balatro, which is if you got a PlayStation Plus account, it's free.
Yeah, it's absolutely free for PlayStation Plusers.
You have no excuse at this point. You've got to play Balatro now. I mean, if you have the PS Plus, there's no excuse. You got to get a hold of it. It's fun to play, and me and you have been having a great time.
Yeah. I could see somebody not enjoying it. I mean, I could see somebody saying, I don't like the randomness of it. I don't like the, at any point it'll fail me type of thing. I can understand that. May just like where you and I don't do the Final Fantasy type games, because they don't appeal to us.
Yeah.
I get it if it doesn't appeal to you, but for free, there's no reason not to try it.
Yeah. If you're on the fence at all, this is a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, really it is.
Play it. So yeah, but all this time we've been away, just those 3 titles I've been really focused on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, I have put more time into Avowed. So I got into the 3rd section, which is kind of canyon-esque.
Desert?
Sort of. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. A
lot of brown.
Yeah.
There's a lot of brown, not a lot of vegetation. It's kind of, like I said, it's very canyon-like.
Yeah.
With mines, and by mines I mean not land mines, but mines that you go and,
Caves to explore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Things like that I'm going through. And I think I picked up my next team member, I believe. The problem the reason I'm saying this is because the last time I played Avowed was the Sunday after our recent show. And I may have played... No, I didn't. No. Yeah, so the last time I played Avowed was the Sunday after our recent show. And then I installed Expedition 33.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I put it in there. I'd been hearing great things about it.
Yeah, me too.
Selling a bunch of stuff. The turn-based combat was really good. It's controller. They prefer you to use a controller to play it, which for me, currently, at this point, is beneficial to me to play with a controller because of how my hands are working at the moment, trying to hit keys and things like that. It's not really working well on my left hand when I do the WASD keys. When I do mouse and keyboard controls, mouse is okay so far, but the keyboard control part of me is not doing the way it should be doing. Not on account of the keyboard, it's fine. It's my hands. They like to hit the wrong buttons a lot, and it's just so. The fact that Claire Obscura Expedition, it's a long damn name. Expedition 33.
Expedition 33.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I want to say, but a lot of times to shorten it, I'm like, I've been playing Claire, Mm-hmm. But no, Expedition 33, controller, prefer you to play with a controller. Works out for me. Turn-based combat's really good with it. To try and tell you where I am in the game, it would be tough because this thing is really French. Mm-hmm. It is absolutely French, and which is fine. That is not a complaint. I'm just saying that a lot of the names I sort of forget because, like, I know some of the characters' names. Like one of the main characters is named Gustave, right? It's French, Gustave, and then there's a lot of other names, and there's names of creatures and things like this. It's all very fantastical, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's really well done. It's really beautiful. It looks really, really good. And then I give you the combat looks great. Visually looks good. The character models look great. Visually look good. There's great looking cutscenes. There's a great story being told. There are just amazing. I would say level design. I don't really necessarily want to say level design, but the places they put you are just beautiful. There's one called I think it's called the Falling Waters. I could be wrong. Anyway, you're underwater, with the exception that you're kind of not. And that's hard to describe. You're underwater, but you don't have any of the trappings of being underwater. In other words, you walk along the floor just like you walk along any other level that you would be in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your sky has got all kinds of different fish floating above you. And then there's some fish floating around in the area you're in. There's bubbles everywhere. Your hair reacts to being underwater, but like when you speak, air bubbles don't come out. It's an interesting, like I said, it's a very fantastical type world.
Yeah.
That you're in. Anyway, that's done beautiful. There was another level I was in not too long ago, actually this morning, that had a bunch of lanterns that were hanging from both spaces. They either had a chain tethered to the ground and they were floating above, or they were hanging from the top and, hanging down with a chain. Just a bunch of lanterns, and that's all that lit up the way that I was going through. It was really, really beautiful. It's some of the levels are just amazing looking.
Sounds like a bunch of dream sequences.
It's sort of, there are actually dream sequences, none of them having to do with any of the stuff that I have mentioned. But so far, this morning, I ran into 2 dream sequences that take place. Dream sequences are very apparent because a title card shows up that says that this is the dream sequence. It's a title card. It's also in black and white. It also is in 4:3, aspect ratio. The bars come up on the side of the screen, and it's in black and white. It's very apparent that what you're witnessing right now is a dream, but of course everything else is not a dream. It is some sort of French thing. And that's fine. Again, I bring up the French thing only for the fact that there's folklore that is in here that is French that I am not aware of, but it's in here. And you can look that stuff up. But yeah, it's really, really well done, and it's holding my attention, which is what is the better thing.
Yeah,
it's moving along a lot quicker than Avowed, which is okay. These are 2 different games. Avowed is not a game that you play through quickly. Not to experience everything that it has to offer, you don't play through it quickly. This also would be a game that you don't necessarily play through quickly, but it's extremely linear. There are no
branching paths.
There's no side quests, There's a few little things during some conversations where you can help somebody out and come back and help them, but it is not pertinent to your story. It will give you XP. That's about it. And maybe some sort of off chance RNG blesses you with something as a reward for doing what you're doing. Because it can do that. At the end of fights, you have a chance to get loot at the end of fights. Doesn't always happen, but there's a chance. Same thing with everything else. There's always a chance of something happening after you finish a quest or do something else. There's a chance of you getting something out of it, even if it's just whatever the currency is within the game that you spend to unlock and upgrade and other stuff like that. So
I don't hear that a lot with JRPG style turn-based games. No, not a lot of side quests.
Well, because it's not a JRPG, it's an FRPG.
Well, that style of play, the turn-based thing.
Turn-based, I know. Yeah. It's an interesting. I'm not a turn-based guy. Don't like turn-based combat in most cases. I like hack and slash. I like to go there and just let me go nuts. I don't want to sit around and wait for them to make a move. I want to, do my stuff, block, do my combos, do my thing. I want to take the fight to them. This has not been too bad. It's done in a party-style system where it's, you and a team versus sometimes one other enemy, sometimes 3 other enemies. Your attacks range from single attacks on one enemy to AoE effects that affect all the enemies. The underwater level I was telling you about. There are these ghost-like creatures who hold underwater mines as balloons. And during combat, you can shoot the mine and it'll explode. And that takes off a good chunk of health, not only to the one carrying it, but the person standing next to him as well. Usually those guys appear in pairs. So you pop one and then you pop the other, and then you can actually go into your attack. When you do a free aim during your turn-based combat, because your guy has a gun, when you do the free aim stuff, it counts towards a turn, but not a full turn. it uses up what you normally use during a turn. But if you're only popping off 2 or 3, you could keep popping off shots if you want to. They're very small damage. But of course, if you're shooting a mine, one hit and it blows up.
Right.
So usually pop, and then I have still enough.
I want to say meter.
Whatever.
Because in
yes.
my head, I'm thinking you have a meter of an action meter.
Yes, exactly.
You can do this for as long as your meter holds.
And
up.
each character, by the way, they don't share one meter. They each have a meter. So it's not like. So when I use Gustav's stuff, when he's used up, then it goes to the next character and I use her powers. And then it goes to the next character and I use her powers. And it goes, so on and so forth. Because, it's not shared between the party. So, Thar6 says, well, there's some side stuff, but there's just no journal to track them or anything. Yeah, I came across, early on, one of those things just laying down in the level there, and I say one of those things because I'm not exactly sure how to describe him. He's a big old dude, and he's all completely white, and he's just laying down, and apparently the clue was to bring him the light. I didn't know what that meant. This was early on. I mean, I just kept going, but I was like, I wonder if I'll loop back to that. So I don't know. I haven't so far. I know that I can go back there because I've unlocked the overworld map, and there's also fast travel that you can do between, I don't know rally flags, I guess you could say. These rally flags show up at certain parts of levels. Usually when I come across a rally flag, that usually means there's a fight coming up. It lets me heal the entire team. It lets me upgrade attributes and assign skills and different things like that with that before I move forward.
That's a checkpoint.
Right. Well, it also serves as a checkpoint as well. But like I said, that's usually placed.
Yeah, universal point of purpose of a checkpoint game is something's coming up.
Something's coming up.
So if you got anything you want to take care of before you get into it, do it now.
And yes, a big part of the game is dodging and parrying. And I just got to the jump mechanic not too long ago because now there's also jumping as a form of defense in turn-based. So they'll do a ground slam, and if you jump up, you can counter. So, Thar is asking me where I am. I don't know where you are in the game, Thar, so I don't necessarily want to spoil anything. I will say that I just unlocked and I played it this morning. I should remember his name. It starts with an E.
SQ?
Esquire, maybe? Or SQ?
ESQUIE.
Yeah, he's the big puffy looking dude. Maybe not. I don't know.
Looks like a mannequin.
Yeah, ESQUIE. Yeah. That's Thar6 is confirming. Yeah, that's who I've just met. He is so far. I don't know if he helps you out in a party or not. But on the overworld map, he gets you to places that you normally wouldn't go or wouldn't be able to get to because he's now this. You get to you become him and transverse the map, the overworld map. So if there were rocky terrain that you couldn't get through, he's able to get through that and get your party to the next section that you need to get to. So I've unlocked him and I've gotten to the next section. And I can't remember what it was, but as I was going in, one of the teammates was like, "Can't we make camp first?" I was like, "Oh, they need me to make base camp here." Because as soon as I do, cutscene starts. So it's like, "Oh, okay. That has to, yeah."
Subtle reminder.
Yeah. It's like, here we go, cutscene. Had one of those title card dream sequences pop up, by the way. Thar6, let me ask you, where am I in the game right now? I don't know how long this game is, but where do you think I am right now in the game? I'm kind of curious. I haven't looked up anything to see like where, how much more do I have left or what's going on. Mainly because it doesn't feel like it's a massive game. And I could absolutely be wrong. Especially when you're comparing it with Avowed. It doesn't seem like it's a massive game. But it is, like I said, the story's holding me, which is good. It's got to keep that going. He said, "Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. I still am in Act 1. Because I haven't seen it. The title card shows up Act 1. You get a title card that says Prologue, then you get a title card that says Act 1. I haven't gotten anything Act 2 or 3. None of that showed up yet. So you're absolutely right. I still am early on in the game. 40 hours. It'll breeze by. It really will. So it's not a game that I am spending a lot of time, like in Avowed. I was making this comparison the other day. I can spend 3.5, 4 hours playing Avowed and progress 5 to 10% of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Because I'm doing side quests, I'm upgrading things, I'm collecting, materials or whatever that's going on in Avowed. And it's all on foot. But if I spend 3 or 4 hours in Expedition 33, I'm making progress. I'm moving it along because there's just not that much deviation from the main map or the main place that you're supposed to go.
So consistent play, you think you could get it done in a week?
I would say I'd be very close by this, depending on how much time I get to play.
Yeah.
I would say that I could be very close to being done by the next time we do the show, or at least by finishing it up next Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on how much time I get into it tomorrow. And I mean, I will put in some time with it tomorrow. The music's fantastic. I forgot to write about that. I don't know about the mime music. I did get into some of the. See, I never saw. Apparently, there's a mime that you can fight in the prologue of the game that I just completely bypassed. Never even saw him. I went back and watched one of those videos, 10 things that Expedition 33 doesn't tell you at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about the mime that you can fight. And I never saw him.
Yeah.
Then I came across a mime later on, and I was like, well, it's a big-headed mime, because they look kind of, like you said, they look marionette-style type thing. Big mime, and, when you fight him, he has a defense, and basically it is the typical mime wall stance. That's his defense.
Yeah, that's the. If you see a mime, that's a basic one. That's mime 101.
Exactly. He's got a wall in front of him, and that's a shield you have to break through.
Yeah. Matter of fact,
it's not there, but it's a shield you have to break through.
I remember one of the Mortal Kombat games. Johnny Cage had a outfit and a fighting style that involved
miming,
ninja mime.
Oh,
and one of his moves is that wall. And if you hit him while he's doing that, you're going to get parried and messed up.
Oh, neat.
So, yeah. So if you see a mime, there's a wall coming.
Yeah. He says, you need to raise the stun meter, that yellow meter, to break it. Yeah, I know. I've come across 2 mimes already now that I've been playing. Like I said, I don't know that the level design is amazing, but the settings that they put you in and all that stuff, the way the levels look is just amazing looking. I mean, it's really, really good looking. You can find some videos on YouTube, like The Beauty of Clair Obscura, Expedition 33, things like that, where you can go through and look at it. Yeah, the prologue is actually on there. Somebody went through and played through it, made a good edit of it, so you could kind of get an idea. It tells you the story of what's going on, and I'd love to tell you the story, but I want to kind of do more in the game before I start telling you the story, so I can tell you more about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now it's sort of got a mysteriousness to it. It's obviously it's very straightforward. It's a thing has happened and now you're out to stop the thing. Expedition 33 is sent to stop the thing that is happening, and I mean it opens with what looks like a semi-destroyed France, like Paris, semi-destroyed Paris, and things are in sort of like a limbo where,
Sounds like some catastrophic supernatural event.
Like a pot that may have smashed. It's not just laying smashed on the floor. It's smashed and sort of floating in air, It's sort of
stuck.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that, and that's just in the area. So, I mean,
physics don't work like it used to.
No, not at all. And so that kind of gives you an idea. Plus, your main dude's got a cybernetic type arm thing. So there's a lot of fantastical parts about it. I just want to play more of it before I go into what's going on. But I like it. It's holding my attention, and it's Game Pass. So something, if you're interested in it, it's on Game Pass. Give it a go. Try it out. It's a controller, but like I said, they encourage you to play with a controller. And it does have turn-based combat. They made it kind of easy. I don't want to say easy. They made it friendly. They made the turn-based combat very user-friendly. To me.
I was about to ask you what the level of challenge in this game is.
It's pretty good. There's a lot of, like Thar said, there's a lot of dodging and parrying. I remember I was... Early on, there's a cave that says, danger. I mean, it's labeled cave, and then underneath says danger. This is early in the game, so I'm just trying to get my footing or my feet, to figure out how to play the thing. And I'm just like, well, go in the cave. I know it says danger, but I think the map wants me to go in this direction. The map did not. I was reading it wrong. But I went into the cave where it says danger. And it was some kind of corrupted sheep. One corrupted sheep. And
you're giving me Killer Rabbit from the Holy Grail vibes right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were no rabbits. There were sheeps and some other kind of forest creatures there. They all had a purple glow to them, except for the death sheep. The death sheep he was a boss. Like, that was a boss fight. Because that fight took me about 30 to 45 minutes. One single boss fight. Because the amount of XP that I was taking off of him with each hit was just so minuscule. And I mean, basically, it was, again, just dodging and parrying over and over and over again. I only had 2 people in my team, whereas right now I have 4. Would have been a lot better to have 4 of them to go into that, but I only had 2 when I went to face him. And I really shouldn't have just sat there and spent all the time. I never died. I didn't get killed. There were some close calls, but I never got killed by him. But it was a lot of timing. I could see his timing. I go dodge, dodge, dodge. Then he would attack the partner, dodge, 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 or it was a parry, but mostly it was dodge.
Now, if is it like a game over if all parties die or the main character dies?
That's a good question. I haven't had a death yet.
Okay.
Well, no, I take that back. I did die when I was solo. Before I had another party.
Okay.
That just respawned me at the flag. The checkpoints.
Okay, checkpoint, yeah.
But
I was wondering if you had a party or whatever. Is a full wipe means start over?
I think so, actually, because you do have elixirs, I believe, that can revive party members. You can use a turn to revive party members, that sort of thing. I believe you can do that, or heal the team, something like that. So, Thar may tell you otherwise. I haven't actually died. I also am playing on the easiest setting.
Okay.
I did not, because I'm not a good turn-based combat guy. I also was really only interested in seeing this and playing it through the story and that sort of thing. The combat's grown on me because of how much you have to do it. If you change costume, it autosaves. Yeah, I haven't gotten around to changing my costume yet. I've unlocked things that say, "Hey, you've unlocked," because I got a mime costume I've unlocked, but I haven't changed anything because I didn't know. I'm not sure exactly where to do that. Some of the menus confusing, but anyway, great game. It's doing fantastically well. We had some news stories about it. They sold, oh God, how many did they have?
Yeah, that's what I was hearing about it. It was doing so well because of the how good it is. Like basically bang for the buck, really.
Sold over 1 million copies in 3 days. And the selling of 1 million, they are not including Game Pass in this. So it doesn't. So if you download it on Game Pass, that doesn't count as a sell.
Yeah,
it's people who have actually people who've actually bought the game
for the game. Yeah,
yeah, they sold over 1 million copies in 3 days. That number, I believe, has gone up. This was an older story. I think that number actually did go up. It's just doing fantastically well. And all of that, hearing about that and hearing that, a lot of people are playing it, or this is really, really good, or it's amazing what a studio can do when they're not trying to, not a very big team worked on this.
Yeah.
You know, it's not one of your big release type things.
A former Ubisoft.
I believe so. Yeah. Well, it's French. Yeah, probably.
Former Ubisoft member did this. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just been doing really well, and I thought, well, it's on Game Pass. Give it a shot. Let's see what it's like. Man, it hooked me so good with the story right then at the very beginning. It just hooked, and I was like, okay, I'll see this through. I'm going to put it on easy and keep going. But mostly, I told myself, as soon as, if I get into this and I start feeling like, oh, this is really repetitive and boring, and I really don't want to, then I'll just go watch a video of it. So far, that hasn't happened. Yes, the combat can be when you stumble upon an enemy that's way higher level than you, just back away and come back later.
Killer sheep.
I mean, yeah, the killer sheep was like, once I beat him, I was like, hey, what did that do? And it did nothing. It was a very small area to be in. It was just him to fight. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
I got a ton of XP out of it, but it served no purpose other than to waste 45 minutes of my time early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So if any place has danger written on it, feel free to go in there. Just don't initiate the fight. Just unless you're ready for it. Again, it wasn't hard, just really, really long.
Tedious, yeah.
Very tedious to see, like, what it did teach me was more about my combat skills, where it's like, okay, I need to burn him with her first, and while he's getting a burn, then I jump back over to my other guy and use his ability that gets 50% more damage if the target is already burning.
Mm-hmm.
And so burn with her, hit him with that, just a lot of different combinations of how to fight.
Yeah.
But
when all your attacks are like taking off itty bitty amounts
you
of
get
HP,
it as much as you can get.
Yeah.
You take it.
Mm-hmm.
You take as much as you can get to do that. So, yeah. Anyway, we need to take a break. When we come back, we will jump into some of the news. I've kind of separated everything to like things that have happened. There's miscellaneous, which is a lot of stuff. But we won't get to the big hits here until the top of the hour if you're curious. And by that, I'm talking about Microsoft and Grand Theft Auto. I mean, you had to know. Did you watch the Grand Theft Auto trailer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Just making sure you did. Because, we will. I mean, we'll talk about it. I haven't done any kind of deep dives into, like, here's all the different things you missed in the trailer, where they talk about, like, hey, this license plate says such and such, and whatever. I haven't looked over any of that. I've just watched the trailer, listened to the voices, because it's always fun to, like, pick out whose voice that is, and really enjoyed what I saw. But we're going to talk about that, but that's coming up at the top of the hour here. We are doing retro games today. This is from a game called Snowboard Kids 2. I guess Snowboard Kids was really, really good, and they made Snowboard Kids 2.
Well, they had an obligation from a contract.
Possibly. I don't even know who made Snowboard Kids and Snowboard Kids 2. But I think it was N64 on this one. I think. May have been SNES. Anyway, this one's called Haunted House. We'll be back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. Welcome back to In-Game Chat. This is music from, we're in the N64 era. These are all N64 games, apparently. This is Micro Machines 64. God, I remember Micro Machines, man. For whatever reason, we collected them. That was a lot. It's a lot what I remember from my childhood. Collecting.
Yeah.
Hot Wheels, Micro Machines, He-Mans, G.I. Joes. I didn't do G.I. Joes, but still, it was more of a collecting thing where it's like I got to get all my G.I. Joes and stuff, or my He-Mans, or whatever the thing was.
Yeah, action figures, baseball cards,
right?
comic book
But you couldn't just
cards,
have the
things
one
like
action
that.
figure. You had to get the whole group of the action figures, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why you never really saw anything take off commercially for children that was a solo effort. Superman's one thing, I get it, but your superheroes, that's fine. But it's like, it was always a group, you know?
Yeah.
There were 4 Ninja Turtles. Well, that sells more. And then, of course, you add more in your villains and things like that, and that sells more. Transformers. Let's just keep adding more Transformers so that we can make more toys. So that the kids will buy them. Yeah, I remember doing that. Micro Machines was the same way. Micro Machines, Garbage Pail Kids,
Hot Wheels.
the Hot Wheels. Like I said, what was the other stuff? I mean, then you get into just your action figures, rather than just group them all, other than just being separate with them. I don't know. I feel like, and then of course then video games came into play, and you started buying more video games. So anyway. Jumping into some news, stuff that we missed out. It looks like that folks behind Baldur's Gate 3 are deep in the trenches on a follow-up to Baldur's Gate 3, but they hope to show it off no later than 2030. So it'll be some time before we hear about what Larian Studios is working on, but they are working on it, whatever it may be. We had the Claire Obscure news with Expedition 33 selling over a million, and I think Thar6 in the chat room said it's been over 2 million now, and I believe he's right. What else do we have? EA, they had a closing. Well, they didn't have closing; they had layoffs, and the latest staff cuts that they did killed off an unannounced Titanfall-themed extraction shooter that was in development at Respawn. Which really is sad because Titanfall 1 was fantastic. The multiplayer on Titanfall 1 was wonderful. Played so much of that on the Xbox. Played with a lot of friends on that on the Xbox. Really, really good. Titanfall 2 did not reach those same heights, but the single-player story did.
So what? Remind me, what changed between Titanfall 1 and 2? Was like a different studio, different staff, different writer, or whatever?
No, actually, it was the same studio.
Or were they crunched and pressed for time to rush something out?
Yeah, it felt like...
Because that's typically what happens when you have a title that's so good, and then the sequel comes out, and it's like
the sequel just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that it fell short review-wise. I think it just fell short sales-wise. And I don't remember what at the time would have kind of overshadowed that. I know... Because I don't remember when it released. I just know it did not do well upon release. It was later on, people were like, yeah, the single player is really good. And, there's a lot of people who are missing out on that because, it didn't do well.
Yeah, it says October 28th of 2016.
That sounds... It's like, what else released in 2016? Arkham Knight?
See. Inside, Dark Souls 3, Battlefield 1.
Dark Souls 3.
Overwatch.
Now, is that just for the year, or is that in October?
Just the year. I'm just going for the year right now.
2016. I'm going to try and be more specific. Let's see how good Google does this. 2016 October video game
No, there we go.
releases. What did we have? Mafia 3.
Mafia Theory, yeah.
Gears of War 4.
Looks like on the same site I got to. Yeah.
Battlefield 1. Titanfall 2. You also had Paper Mario Color Splash. Metal Gear Solid 5. Well, the definitive experience. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of games. I'm trying to see. Okay, yep, Return to Arkham. Batman Return to Arkham. Like you said.
Well, that's the that's the other one. That's the one that combined the whatever. The other two.
Yeah. Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim Special Edition.
Yeah, that came out the same day as Titanfall 2. World of Final Fantasy came out that year. Civilization 6 released in October of that year. Battlefield 1. Okay.
Yeah.
And plus, this is October 28th. If you were to look at games released in November to see what came out the first 2 weeks of November, you're probably throwing in a Call of Duty and an Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2 got buried in release. I can almost guarantee you. Did you find November?
Yeah, I'm looking up November now. You'll see some Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Yeah. Of course it did.
First thing on the list. Dishonored 2.
That's a killer.
Assassin's Creed Ezio Collection. Watch Dogs 2.
Watch Dogs 2 is a killer.
The Amnesia Collection. Oh,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it pulled a Horizon Forever for Forbidden West or whatever it was.
Got some stiff competition. It was going
Right.
against,
It released, had like a week of maybe people talking about it, and then it was done. If that, even if that. Oh yeah, Borderlands 4 had a big state of play thing. I didn't even watch that. Oh look, Steve's in the chat room. Let's see if does this still work. We haven't used Discord.
I hope so.
No, there he is. Yeah, it still works.
Hey now, live from PAX East, Boston.
Are you there?
I was there today and yesterday.
Oh, are you going back tomorrow?
No, I am not, and that's probably my last PAX ever.
Man, I should have hit you up
Yes.
because I really wanted. They got some Marvel Snap giveaways for if you're at PAX East.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Well, I'll put it this way: PAX is not what it used to be. PAX is it is far from what it was in the 2010 to 2015 era.
I would imagine.
There's nobody there.
That's what I
There's barely
figured.
anything. The tabletop takes over like half the expo hall now.
Wow.
Jeez.
It's just there's nothing going on. I mean, there are some booths that are smart, and they do like competition stuff throughout the day, where like you play our game and score, put you on a scoreboard, and the top 5 come back at 4:00, and we'll give you a prize. They do stuff like that, and that was what made some of the earlier PAXs really fun. Is that almost everybody did that. Like they did games that had no business doing it. Did it like Skate 2? I remember it wasn't who could get the highest score skateboarding. It was who can damage themselves the most in a single run and score like. I guess there was like a hurt score, like the opposite of a.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
that.
about. Yeah, I think I remember them doing that at one of the other PAXs that they did. I think they also did that at either PAX South or PAX Prime or whatever.
Brilliant marketing. Like people keep coming back. You get attention around your booth, all that stuff. It's great stuff. But there was nothing there that like really. And I shouldn't say nothing. There was a lot of fun indie stuff, but the big guys just don't come anymore.
Yeah, I know.
And it's a little bit sad.
Yeah, I want to do one more, PAX Seattle. And I've talked about this before. I ended up going to PAX in Seattle. I ended up going to Seattle, and there happened to be PAX going on. Is really the reason that I would do it. Eventually, I was going to Seattle to go to PAX. Then I started going to Seattle, and there just happened to be PAX going on at the same time. Because I would spend more time in the city than I would in the convention center, depending on if I had meetings or appointments or things like that. So I'd maybe do, a little while in the convention center going around playing stuff or looking at things, that sort of thing. But a lot more time spent in the city, which is likely probably something I would do if I was going to Boston too.
I had the same feeling going through conventions, the same thing. The first time you go, when it's small or grassroots, things like that, that's when all the effort is put in there. But then you notice that the bigger it gets, the more, I guess, corporate and more things go on. The more the things that made it fun at the beginning aren't there anymore.
The problem with PAX is likely the problem that you've seen with a lot of others is that once they do get bigger, it's not necessarily that they got more corporate. It's the fact that there was more demand for people to go, and so then it became harder and harder to get tickets. for everybody.
Well, that's definitely not the case this weekend.
No,
I mean,
it's not been the case in a while. It's not been the case since COVID.
And I think the problem is, like, at least from my memory, you had to jump on day one tickets like the day they came out.
You absolutely did.
You had no idea who was showing up in 4 months.
No,
like after you buy 'em.
it was everybody for themselves, and so we would. And I remember we would get on our forums, be like, "Did you get tickets?" No, I missed out tickets. Well, I got. I bought 3 extra when I did it, so I'll sell you mine so you can get in, something like that. It was just the hardest thing in the world to get tickets for. Now it's not a problem at all. I mean, and to your point about how nobody was there, they also canceled PAX South ever how many years ago. It was after COVID, but they said, yeah, we're not going to do PAX South anymore. It's because the attendance was not there. Nobody was traveling. Nobody was going to do this. COVID
the
really killed
question
it.
I would have is, why did they stretch it out to 4 days if nobody's going?
See, that may not last much longer either.
Yeah. I mean, it was a 3-day event pre-COVID, and then post-COVID, it turned into a 4-day event. But like, there's just so much room. Like the even the aisles, like it's not shoulder to shoulder like it used to be, and there's giant squares of the expo hall just missing. Like you have this huge area to just kind of like hang out in and like get your bearings if you want to try and find something.
They could also be under
the case.
They could also be under a contract.
Or that, yeah. I suppose.
With the venue where it's like, yeah, we're going to be here these many days, and so we've booked it this many days for this many years, because the E3 had the same problem. They had booked the LA Convention Center years and years, like we're booking it for this from here for the next 10 years, and then we'll renegotiate, the option to renegotiate every 3 or 4 or 5 years, something like that, to renegotiate that contract. And so they had locked in the LA Convention Center for E3, and now we don't even have that. Which is another way to look at it as well. With your situation with PAX in Boston, another way to look at it is, E3 kind of died because attendance died. PAX South died because attendance died. Now all you've got is PAX West, PAX East, Australia, and then their Unplugged event, which I think is up in Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh or something like that. So that's all they got now, and who knows? A lot of those might start cutting back on how many days they're available.
People aren't going to go if there's nobody there, too. Like, there was no Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Rockstar, Naughty Dog. I'm just naming off stuff that was there in the past that, like, you could count on.
Big.
Always had a booth.
Well, heck,
big presence.
Well, heck, all the big dogs just make a online event or whatever, and that's
mostly where it's at now.
That's where it's at now, yeah.
Twitch TV didn't even go.
Yeah.
Like, there was no Twitch booth. And usually that's kind of like the booth that kind of sets the tone in the expo hall. Like you always hear them, kind of like tickles you.
Yeah, it's usually big.
Through.
Yeah.
No Twitch booth.
Man, God.
Biggest booth that was there was Dune.
Doom was there? Or Doom or Dune?
Dune. Dune Awakening game that's coming out in a month.
See, I wasn't sure if it was Doom because Dark Ages comes out next week.
Oh no! I mean, I would love if it was there. Like, I mean, that would have been cool.
Wow, that's sad to hear. I'm sorry to hear it, but you got your time with it.
Barely. I mean, I there was times where I was like, why did I buy 2-day badges? Like, what am I going to spend time with today?
Yeah.
And like, it felt. I was half sad but half relieved, I guess.
How far away are you from there?
I'm like 28 miles, maybe. I got a hotel room anyway, just for convenience. But
yeah,
I'm not too far.
All right, yeah.
But I did see the Gearbox show yesterday.
Oh,
yeah.
That was for Borderlands 4, I assume, right?
Yeah, totally. And they what's the other one? Risk of Rain 2.
Yeah,
I showed that off.
I haven't looked at anything Borderlands 4. They did a state of play, but I haven't looked at any of what they showed off.
Yeah, it was not. I mean, there was nothing we didn't already know. Like Randy Pitchford was there. He was, doing his thing. I mean, he's never not excited about Borderlands, but
he's not. And the problem is that I have lost my excitement for Borderlands since 3.
That's true. Me too. And it's funny. I wanted to have a Q&A because I wanted to complain about like the Tiny Tina game and ask them a question, but it was like fake Q&A. It was like written down questions. But they had a whole cue card full of questions they were just like doing at the end of their show. I'm like, oh, this is all.
Come on,
this isn't even like a real live.
I
thing.
know
Like,
that doesn't even give you a shot, man. Yeah.
But he was like talking about. And a good question that came up is like, what's the pricing around Borderlands 4?
And he said he didn't know.
He did. He said like, we'll see. He kind of like put it on the marketing team a little bit, like whatever they decide to be the game. But I don't know. He hinted that maybe it might be, the first $80 PC game. I don't know. If they follow Nintendo's. He brought up Nintendo, and so he was saying like whatever the market dictates, is what we're gonna do.
I don't know if they got the moxie to charge $80.
That's my thinking.
Because I fell out on at the pre-sequel.
Because
me
too, RJ.
I mean, I couldn't get into it. I mean, there were certain characters that really got my attention. Especially the support character in there, and then when it got to the pre-sequel, I was like, I really can't get behind any character here. And then 3, and I'm like, more of the same. Dang, can't get behind anybody.
Yeah.
And I just fell off at that point.
I was the same exact way, and we played kind of Borderlands 3 as a group, like my group of 4, and we were like, what do we have to play? It's like, well, there's Borderlands 3, and we're like, all right, let's go, and like we just kind of reluctantly did it. But like as far as Borderlands 4 goes, you're right. The Moxie, do they have enough behind it to charge that much? They were preaching all these quality of life updates too on like one slide they had up, like you can finally fast travel to your group. There's no loading times, I guess, throughout the entire map. You can spawn vehicles wherever you are, so you don't have to go to like a vehicle location, if you're in the middle of nowhere. Stuff like that.
Yeah, but none of this is I can't remember my complaints, but I don't ever remembering having complaints about that. I don't remember having complaints about spawning a vehicle anywhere I needed to. That wasn't what was missing to bring me back in, Mm-hmm. Some of the quality of life things that they've improved sounds great, but it's also something that that really wasn't something that was keeping me from playing.
Right.
That really wasn't the thing that was from pulling me into the game. It was the game that was keeping me from pulling into the game.
Mm-hmm. They have a villain problem too. Like they're desperately trying to capture something like Handsome Jack, and they've in both games brought him back in some sense, to try and appease that, right? So in the pre-sequel, it was a prequel, so you could bring back Handsome Jack, no problem.
Yeah.
In Borderlands 3, there was an entire section that was, how was it? It was Handsome Jack's cloned brother, so he's exactly like Handsome Jack, but he's like a nice guy. He's not like, the a-hole that's Handsome Jack. He's he's this other completely different guy, but it's Handsome Jack. He's got the
same dude.
Like clips and everything. So I wouldn't be surprised. And then they're showing off the villain in Borderlands 4. I forget his name. He's like the Equalizer, or
again,
like
I've watched so little footage from Borderlands 4 just because I wasn't there for Borderlands 3, and it's just like I don't really need more Borderlands, man. Gearbox, give me something else. I mean, I know you tried to give me something else that one time, but it was more Borderlands basically. What was the name of that game?
Tiny Tina?
Which one?
No, not Tiny Tina. It was 2K. It was Gearbox.
2K.
But it was a group shooter looter thing. But
Battleborn?
Battleborn, I think, is what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was like the Overwatch.
Yeah, it was the Overwatch clone.
It felt Borderlandsy.
Yeah, the characters, the charisma of all of them. But yeah, it was like it was a hero shooter. Hero shooter like Overwatch.
The aesthetics, the look of it looked very Borderlands-esque.
It had some interesting characters in there too. That like I said with Borderlands 1 and 2, that pulled you in. But Overwatch just it didn't last long.
Took the crown on that one. So.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, how long do we have you here for?
Not too long. I gotta go. I just want to pop in, say hi, and give that little thing about PAX East. That's about it. I don't really have much else to say about PAX East anyway. It was very underwhelming. And
that's fine. We're talking GTA 6 next. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as much as you can talk about a trailer, but mostly talking about the delay and everything else. So, but yeah, if you got a jet here, we mentioned it early in the show because I saw you hanging out in the chat room there. But big congrats! I was scrolling through my Facebook this morning and I saw your wife post about your daughter there. And so,
thank you so much. Yeah, this was a very emotional week with her having her last treatment, and then she got her port removed on Thursday. So
yeah, I just said, hey, congratulations! Really happy for you guys.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Yeah,
that's really
it's
really
amazing.
Nice of you.
And it was really wonderful to hear. So, congrats on that, buddy, and thanks for calling in. And we'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it, man. See you, RJ.
Hey,
bye, Scott.
Take care now.
Take care. Bye bye. We'll be back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. Going into music from the N64 era, it is Dr. Mario. We'll be back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. Welcome back to In-Game Chat. Got to watch us during the commercial break there. Because I forgot to move the card.
Oops.
Cameras are on. Mics are off. Cameras are on. This is music, by the way. I was not familiar with this game. I'm thinking N64. It's called Knife Edge Nose Gunner. That's a really stupid title.
Watch some anime titles. You'll see some dumber ones.
I mean, this is not anime at all, but it was Knife Edge Nose Gunner. So, anyway, welcome back to the show. Yeah, we might as well jump into GTA 6. Why not? That was the big news of the week. Not only the fact that, the first thing we got was the delay.
Mm-hmm.
We got the news of the delay on Monday or Tuesday, I think. Somewhere around there?
Somewhere early in the week, yeah.
Then, the next day, we got the second trailer. I remember, I think it was Digital Foundry was doing the thing of looking at the trailer, which it was like an hour and a half of them talking about a 2-minute trailer. And I only watched maybe the first 15, 20 minutes of it. Mm-hmm. And got into the fact that it had been 500 and some odd days since the first trailer had released. So it had been over a year since we had gotten a trailer for GTA 6. Mm-hmm. Not that you need one. You really, really don't. GTA 6 is not Grand Theft Auto is not a franchise, not a series, not anything that needs a trailer. You could just, hit the logo with a release date and then release it, and it'll sell. It'll just be amazing. If there was a way that they could experiment with that, I would love to know how that would. I want that reality, just sort of that alternate universe to peek into, and say, does this franchise still sell as well if they never released a trailer for it? Once you're 6 games in, I mean. Mm-hmm. Like if they were doing it for the 6th and they never released a trailer for it, would it still just sell amazingly well? And I believe it would. If they didn't release a trailer for it and they put a price tag of $100 on it, it would still sell amazingly well. I'm almost positive that it would, just because name recognition. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's all. You probably wouldn't sell as good as it would with a trailer because, nobody would know, but once it's out there, it's out there. And then people would know, then they go pick it up, whatever the case. But I'm just saying, this is one of the only franchises that you could just say, this is when it comes out, that's all we're going to say. See you then. Mm-hmm. And it would sell. The pre-orders would just be massive. Is my thinking. And it's the only franchise that could do that. Call of Duty had that maybe at some point, but I don't think it's there anymore for them.
A while ago.
Yeah. But GTA 6, it's absolutely still there. Absolutely still there. So, anyway, we got the delay. It's been delayed a year. It'll be released May 20-something, 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was a year and 100 some odd days since the first trailer. And it'll be another year and ever how many days before we get the game released, if it doesn't get pushed back again. I'm pretty sure since Rockstar gave a date, it's sticking to that date. Rockstar is not known to give a date until they know that they're going to make that date. This one's way out there, though. I mean, they've got a year.
Mm-hmm.
This is not coming out in October of this year. Not coming out this year at all. It's coming out mid next year. Putting that date there, though, this was something we talked about 2 weeks ago when we were doing the show. Putting that date means other game companies can now say, okay, here's where I'm going to release my game. Here's where we're going to release this next game. We're staying away from May whatever of 2026.
Mm-hmm.
But, Marathon can now be released. Anybody else who is sitting on the fence worried about this year has nothing to worry about anymore. They can release their games without worried about running into the beast that is GTA 6.
So is anything getting released in May?
I don't think there's anything announced just yet that's getting released in May, and anything that probably had a May release date, or at least were looking at a May release date, they have looked elsewhere now.
Mm-hmm.
This is late in the May. It's May 26th. So there is one studio, and I don't know if I have it in here. Devolver Digital has said that they will release a game. They haven't said what game it'll be, but they said they will release a game the same day that GTA 6 gets released. So even though they've delayed their release, they've still said that it doesn't matter. Whatever day you pick, we're going to release a game on that day too. They just want something else there, I guess. They want to go up against GTA.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But we'll know that when it comes out May 26th. Did I say March? I meant May 26th.
May.
Yeah, that's what I meant, was in May. So, there were some really good articles written about, there was one, I think that's Eurogamer. I don't know. Yeah, it was Eurogamer. It said that GTA 6's delay doesn't mean the games industry is in trouble. It's already dead. The little bit of this article that I read was mostly about the fact that people are thinking that GTA 6, or at least analysts are thinking GTA 6 is going to revive the game industry, or whatever, lift it up somehow or something like that. No, it's going to give Rockstar and Take-Two and whoever else a ton of money, but that's not going to mean developers are going to get other developers are going to get any of this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It is going to be strictly Rockstar. That's going to lift them and their parent company. It'll sell some consoles here and there, possibly, but, it's going to be PS5, it's going to be Xbox Series X. PlayStation 5 and Series X. Those are your two choices. If you don't already have one of those, then now's the time to start thinking about saving up if you want to play GTA 6 when it releases next year. The footage, by the way, from the trailer was captured on a PS5 base, not a Pro. So that could be more for, that could... people could look at that and say, oh, good, I don't need a Pro to get that look. I can buy the base PS5 and get there. Yeah, let's see. The games industry as we know it, have known it, looks like this. Major publicly traded Western publishers such as Ubisoft, EA, 2K, and the like would release major AAA video games on an annual basis. Some of those are annualized franchises like Call of Duty, sports games. Others are annualized via a kind of perpetually rotating roster. You got Assassin's Creed or Far Cry, Ghost Recon, The Division. By the way, all of those are Ubisoft games. Platform holders in Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo would largely do something similar with a smattering of smaller games in between. Meanwhile, smaller, more boutique indie publishers like Devolvers and Team 17, stuff like that, they would release a steady stream of medium-sized games. The Japanese development scene would be far and away the largest other contributor to the medium. The indie scene would add thousands of games each year. The mobile games market would siphon billions from commuters' idle moments. Consoles would get cheaper as generations went on, not more expensive, and every so often a new zeitgeisty service game would arrive with varying degrees of dominance, like WoW or League of Legends or Destiny, Fortnite, PUBG, Overwatch would have been one at the time. Alongside all this would typically run a massive secondary ecosystem, dozens of gaming outlets offering of differing sizes, perspective, taste, talking about YouTube thrown in there as well. This is no longer what the video games industry looks like. This feels uncomfortable to admit, and I have no doubt it'll be uncomfortable to read, particularly for those who work in games themselves, but it bears emphasis again. This is no longer what the video games industry looks like. On almost every level of video games, great business, the ground has shifted suddenly and in some cases quite dramatically. This past week has been another brutal reminder. EA joined in the fun of major layoffs. They squashed 300 people from EA, canceling yet another project in the Titanfall franchise, which we talked about. Codemasters is another one that did some cuts as well. It's tempting to label these latest casualties as just another case of this industry's continuing penchant for idiotic NBA-fueled foot shooting. But there is also more going on here. As former games journalists pointed out in a recent widely shared video, they are happening, yes, because video games have stopped rapidly expanding their audiences and instead become, in investor terms, a mature industry. But also, more astutely, because of two other reasons. First, those investors are taking their money to other, more speculative realms, such as AI, which adds to the claims of, shareholders and things like that. But second, the video games aren't just capping out their audience because there are no more people in the world to play them, but because those people are now spending extraordinary amounts of time watching short, exceptionally addictive videos on social media. Much of this search for this cause of video games' woes can feel almost like old news already. Why does the cause still matter? Well, in this case, because these are the types of causes which aren't going away anytime soon. Social video, for instance, impacts not only the amount of time people spend playing games, but the time that they spend with everything else around them too. Then there's TikTok pulled away from Candy Crush, takes eyeballs from Twitch, which laid off 35. He said Twitch wasn't at PAX, right?
Right.
It laid off 35% of its workforce last year. Twitch. Twitch used to be huge, and I'm not saying it's still not huge, but him saying that they had no presence at PAX is surprising. The last time I went to a PAX, Twitch had a massive booth, and they had a massive party to go along with it. Mm-hmm. I didn't get into that party, or nor did I try and go to that party. I don't know which one I went to, but it wasn't Twitch. Alienware, I think is what it was. Alienware, yeah. By the way. Alienware had a booth and a party at PAX West back pre-COVID.
Yeah. I remember that name.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just changed. All of that brings us to GTA 6, which alongside the Switch 2 has been seen as the last bastion of hope for video games this year. The idea that many have championed here is that GTA's assumed mega popularity would, when it arrived, be a rising tide that lifts all boats for video games, bringing some much-needed public attention back to a medium that has been, perhaps understandably, pushed to one side ever since everyone was let back out in the open after the peak of COVID-19. With GTA 6, the argument goes video games might just be back on trend again. The problem is TikTok, the thing which largely decides the trends these days, actually is the trend itself. GTA 6 will be hot, no doubt, but will it be hotter than the place where you can watch infinite videos about GTA 6 in the palm of your hand? And the many other places like this, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, X, engineered with such savage efficiency to siphon every second of your attention you have to spare. What it means for Joe Consumer is, at first, not much. There's a big delay to the real impact of this stuff. Developers were warning me about COVID delays to production pipelines as early as February 2020, which we didn't really start to feel until 2024. There are still a lot of games partway through production, further along than that poor Titanfall project, for example, where it makes more sense for them to be finished than to be canned. And so for the next couple of years, things will probably look quite similar to how they look right now, with occasional big releases interspersed with right-sizing and safeguarding the future as the old guard continue to cling on. But over time, this will change. There'll be fewer triple-A games in the traditional sense, and those that remain will be exceptions, either in the dwindling GTA mold. You know, if GTA 6 took 12 years, which it has, how long will it take until GTA 7? Does it change the approach entirely to something faster like the old days, or even arrive at all, or from platform holders with secondary incentives, or the still independent studios such as Larian, which we talked about, that know their limits and need only turn enough profit to fund the next one, or as we're already seeing in the form of ever more prevalent remasters and ports of games that seem to barely come out yesterday. What was the most recent one we had?
What, Oblivion?
Oblivion is a remaster that I think was well deserved. But when we got remasters of like Last of Us 2,
the time we were talking about the time between the original release and the remaster. It's a little too early for a remaster.
Right.
Are you running out of ideas, or is something else going on?
Well, no. You know what? Well, it's not necessarily. I don't think they're running out of ideas. I think it's a cheap way to get some money.
Yeah,
is to do a remaster, especially when and Last of Us is guilty of this. I think both Last of Us are guilty of this. Mm-hmm. Last of Us 1 released at the tail end of PS3.
Mm-hmm.
So when PS4 rolled around, they did a remaster.
Yeah.
So it would work on PS4, and you got all the DLC and everything else with it. At the tail end of PS4, Last of Us 2 gets released. Then you've got the PS5. And they do a remaster, not only of Last of Us 2, but they go back to Last of Us 1 and do a PS5 upgrade for it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go Last of Us 2 and do a PS5 upgrade for it. Didn't need that many people to make that happen, but you still made more money than what you had to spend to make it work. So again, going back to your remasters and your ports and everything else of games that were just released.
Mm-hmm.
The pessimist take would be that it ends there, that the brain drain of this medium's extraordinary creative talent is permanent, that developers join TV producers at the supermarket shelves and we simply get fewer of the things we love. The optimist in me, however, hopes for something different. The alternative is this, that we see more upstart studios from laid-off or disaffected developers, where the stretched funding will allow for them to do what they need to do. That we see more people looking to Larian or to smaller scale game companies like Hello Games or Supergiant, or even, and he gives off some more examples here, that more of the larger developers and publishers begin to finally, slowly learn their lessons and look towards CD Projekt Red or Capcom and Nintendo over in Japan. That the global shift in power continues with more games from South Korea, China, and more. And that the independent scene continues to fight on, not as a savior, giving its inherent instability and tremendous risk, but as a point of inspiration and protest with games like Blueprints. Promise Mascot Agency, I don't know what that is, and there's another example that I'm not sure what that is either. We've seen similar crunches hit music, cinema, television, and after all, and despite the stacked odds against them, the undisputed struggle of its creators, and the deeply flawed new status quo for all three, those modes of entertainment and art are not dead and likely won't ever be. The industry as we know it might be crumbling, but there will be a new one to replace it. The games industry is dead. Long live the games industry and all that. Whatever form the new industry takes, the very human urge to create and to play will always outweigh the things which seek to squash it. That was an editorial, by the way, from, as he looks, Chris Tapsell over at Eurogamer, who wrote about that, which I thought was really, really interesting to think about, not necessarily the deadness of games, but the fact that GTA 6 is not going to revive anything, especially if you're releasing something at $100.
Yeah. Which
is what we're expecting, $80 to $100, something way up there.
Yeah. That whole thing about hope that it'll do that, I was like, where'd you get that from?
Yeah, the people that are going to make money are not going to be the games industry. It's going to be that one developer, that one publisher. and the few consoles that it may sell. And I'm sure it will sell some consoles, but I also figure by then people will have them, or people won't be able to afford them. Because the other story that we had last week, it wasn't last week, it was the week before, was Microsoft is increasing their prices.
Yep.
Across the board, across the world, globally.
So I mentioned in the chat just recently. Yeah.
Exactly. So then there's that to go on.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's going to, and Sony hasn't really announced what they're going to do, but usually you look at Nintendo going with the $450, $500 console, the $80 games. You look at Microsoft saying, yeah, we're going to increase our prices too. Sony can do what they want, but we'll find out. Also, Sony is, a Japanese company. Nintendo is a Japanese company, and they're dealing with issues of tariffs and things like that going on right now. So who is to say what your PlayStation 5 will cost when you have decided to make that purchase prior to getting GTA 6? Possibly. I don't know. So anyway, that's the thing. And we're going to go into, we'll cover some more GTA 6 because you and I haven't really talked about the trailer itself. But we'll go into that, and we'll go into the Microsoft price increase as well when we come back. Got music here. Again, going back. I don't know what system this is from. Do you remember a game called Nightmare Creatures?
Yeah.
PlayStation? I'm visualizing a jewel case. You know, the old disc jewel case that PS games came in? CDs?
Well, I'm thinking of a old Xbox.
I don't know.
Oh, looking at something else then. Okay. N64, Windows, PlayStation.
All right, well, I guess I was right on PlayStation, but also from N64. So here's music from Nightmare Creatures. We'll be back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. That's music from Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. It's one of the many Castlevanias and released on the N64. Oh. It was interesting. The other story I had here was that Take-Two's shares took a tumble after they delayed GTA. Mm-hmm. And I imagine that changed the next day when they dropped the trailer for GTA 2. It probably went right back up. So, yeah.
Keep that hype train rolling.
No, you're exactly right. Although, again, that's a game that I don't think needs hype train, man. The trailer seemed to come out of nowhere. A lot of people like to speculate, it's going to come out at this time, or I saw hints on the internet, or, my uncle works at Rockstar, some stuff like that. And so he told me it's coming out on this one. Anyway, trailer out of nowhere after they announced the delay. What did you? It was a longer trailer. It focused more on, I think, the game more so than the first. First trailer felt like and we said this during a commercial break. The first trailer felt like it showed off the location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your characters as well, because we did have cover art at the time, and we knew you kind of knew who the two people were, or at least that they were going to be a part of the thing. But the first trailer felt more about the location than it did anything else, only because of all the different memes related to Florida, all the different things that were related to Florida.
Yeah, you see everything that those locations and shots were based on.
Based off of, yeah.
You saw the actual news footage. The Florida Man news footage,
yeah.
And then the rendition of it in the game.
It felt like it was more of a trailer about the location than it was anything else. And that this trailer felt more about a trailer about the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
We got names for the characters. We were introduced to new characters. We saw explosions. We saw guns. We saw cars. We saw boats and planes. Everything you get out of a GTA thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it said it was a mix of cutscenes and gameplay, I'm kind of curious what was gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to go back and look to see what I could decipher as game, because they didn't make it easy. They didn't make it obvious. Obvious is, having a HUD pop up somewhere, or, where you can, that's the thing. We don't have any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you need it to know what's going on. It's, again, I have to remind you, this is the equivalent to something that doesn't need a lot of, they don't need to sell you on it. They've already sold you on it from all the previous ones,
Mm-hmm.
This would be like the Iron Bowl around here. And that's a school rivalry football game that happens in November. You don't need to advertise for it. People can go. People know what it is. They're going to watch it. You don't need to. You literally don't have to advertise it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to do great business, and it's always going to be there. So you know it's going to happen. GTA 6 is kind of the same, where they don't need to do any of this. They don't need to tell me more about the game. I'd love to know more, but they don't need to. I'm still going to play it. They don't need to put hints in there. They can, because it's fun for people, but I'm still going to be there regardless. So even whatever price they decide to put on it. Are you in regardless of price? What about you?
Wait and see.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because $100, I'm like, nope. Because if it's at $100, I'm going to be doing the same thing I've always done with I'm doing now.
Speaking, go ahead.
If it's at $100, I can wait. I got a backlog that'll extend out of this building.
Something I
need to play first.
Yeah, something I found out at the end of not last week's show, but the end of show 2 weeks ago. Did you get a PlayStation 5?
Yeah.
Congratulations! I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Astrobot bundle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when we talked about games you played, you never mentioned Astrobot.
No, I didn't play it.
You didn't play it.
I had to try to set the PS5 up and try to get used to that interface or whatever.
Did you play the?
All I did was set the thing up and start downloading
all your old stuff.
Well, not my old stuff, because my PS4 still works. I don't need to put
Okay.
PS4 stuff on there. Just some of the titles that I've had for the PS5, I was able to install on the system.
Did you play First Ascendant?
I installed it on there, but I didn't play it because I'm still playing it on 4. But like I said, that thing's going to lose support June, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I'll transfer over to the PS5 on that. Now, there was a significant jump in the graphical clarity and the performance. Some things that you could show on the PS4, show on the PS5, it wasn't going to show on the PS4. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I saw a clear jump. But playing it for real, though, I haven't started yet. Like I said, I'm just trying to get used to it and set it up. And
Yeah.
get everything installed in there right. Oh, and to get the PS5 free games on there.
Right.
So
yeah.
I did get Rogue City, RoboCop Rogue City was free, so I put that on there. Stellar Blade I put on there because I've already bought that. First Ascendant, like I said. Not a lot of other, not many other PS4 titles after that.
Have you played a game on it at all?
No, just setting up.
All right. So, well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome to your PlayStation 5. I guess I can give you some games to borrow if you need to. I think that's a good question. I don't what physical games I may have to let you borrow. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I had a lot of digital copies, but I don't know about physical copies.
I'm still in the physical mindset.
I mean, I got a physical copy of Astrobot, but you got the Astrobot bundle, so you've got a copy of it.
Yeah, I already had that.
Is it a digital or physical copy?
Code.
All right. That's what I figured it was. So, which I guess that's where you'll be playing GTA 6 then on the PS5, since that's what it's for. But yeah, and you got that. So Sony hasn't announced price increases, but Microsoft announced a massive price increase on games, consoles, accessories. Now that doesn't mean that every game that releases on an Xbox is going to have a higher price. It means any games that are published by Microsoft are going to have a higher price. Just like Nintendo. Any Nintendo games that are published by Nintendo are going to have that $80 to $70 price tag. But it is raising the prices. Oh wow, they go up. They went up May 1st. First-party game titles will all hit $80 by the holidays. The cost of an Xbox Series S will change from $299 to $379, a 27% increase. An Xbox Series X will go from $499 to $599. So you'll be paying $600 for a $500 console now. 20% bump. The Xbox Series X that has a 2 terabyte hard drive in it went up 21%. Now costs $730. Makes it more expensive than a PS5 Pro for more memory. Accessories. Xbox controller, it went from $60 to $65. The Elite controller, the Series 2 Elite controller, went from $130 to $150. Microsoft has not given a reason for the price increases, but it's almost impossible not to assume that they're at least in part connected to tariffs. While prices for the Xbox consoles and accessories are increasing all around the world, the difference is far greater in the United States. In the UK, the Series X went from $480 to $500. That was just a 4% rise compared to the 20% that they went up here. Let's see. The Series S is going from $250 to $300. That's 20%, but yet here it went up 27%. So yeah, let's see. Okay, then they just showed off the regular controller now $64. If you want a regular controller with color on it, it's $70. The special edition wireless controller is $80. The limited edition wireless controller is $90. Then you got $150 for the Series 2 Elite. Then $200 for the Series 2 Elite Special Edition. Stereo headset $65. I don't know what those were. The wireless headsets $120. I don't know what the original price of those were. Prices for current games aren't changing, but Microsoft has announced that by this holiday, we can expect all first-party games to cost $80, matching Nintendo's pricing for some games of the Switch 2. Seems only a matter of time before Sony declares it will be doing the same for the PS5. I'm glad you got yours in before that price increase. This means Call of Duty this holiday season is likely to be an $80 game, alongside just about everything else you were looking forward to. Of course, they'll also be included on Game Pass, which is getting a price increase, but nothing too significant.
Yeah, nothing that'll make you drop Game Pass.
Not especially with what you're getting now. Now that games are going to cost more, Game Pass, that's going to drive Game Pass subscriptions. To be honest with you, yeah,
Game Pass looking a lot better with the price increases. Yeah,
that's an interesting thought about it too. So, well, the problem with it is that the console's increasing in price as well. And I was going to say getting Game Pass might push console sales, but since the consoles are going up as well, I don't know that Game Pass is going to push. I don't think Game Pass is going to be a console seller at those prices. You know what I mean? Sure, you can tell them, yeah, we got Call of Duty, we got Doom, we got WoW, we got, all of these games that you can play with Game Pass. But that's a huge price to entry. What, 600? What do we say?
600.
Yeah, $600 for the Series X. $550, by the way, for the Series X that's only a digital console. Which, take that for what it's worth, because that just means you can't have disc-based games.
Yeah. Which
means you can't buy used, or you can't borrow.
Game Pass on a PC is not as many titles on the consoles, or what?
It's gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not. But yeah, it's not as many. It's still pretty good, but it's not as many.
Would you say like a 70% of what's on consoles?
Man, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
Okay. Not as many, but still a good deal.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
So you can get away with having enough gaming entertainment from just PC.
If you've got a PC that can do it, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And if it gets a PC release, not everything does, but if it gets a PC, obviously Astrobot is not on PC. GTA 6 will not get a PC release until, if history shows
way down the line.
Yeah, if history goes, it'll be a good 10 years.
The 10th year anniversary.
Yeah, it'll get a PC release.
About the time for a remaster. So.
Yeah, exactly. You're not gonna get a PC release on GTA 6. We're gonna be playing that on our home machines.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more than likely PlayStation will follow suit. They'll increase.
Yeah.
I can't see how they wouldn't, but I don't know. So
it's not if, but when.
That's my thinking. Yeah. It is really not if, but when.
Heck, the price of PlayStation Plus went up, so already. So.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Okay, so here's something else. This has nothing to do with the price increases. This is something that happened. I think it was yesterday. Nintendo updated its Nintendo account agreement.
Oh, yeah.
With a severe warning against unauthorized use in a bid to prevent emulation and piracy. All those with a Nintendo account will have received an email linking to the updated policy. I did get this email. And as one reporter spotted, the wording for the license for digital products section has been altered. The agreement for UK accounts now states digital products are licensed only for personal and non-commercial use, and that any unauthorized use of a digital product may result in the digital product becoming unusable. This differs slightly from the United States, which states, in the U.S., you acknowledge that if you fail to comply with the foregoing restrictions Nintendo may render, or with the foregoing restrictions, Nintendo may render the Nintendo account services and or the applicable Nintendo device permanently unusable in whole or in part.
We can brick your system.
Yeah.
If we sniff any impropriety with your account, we can brick your system.
Yeah, that's it. This is intended for anyone who encounters language or this update comes ahead. Nintendo share, yeah. So that's what they're basically saying. Now, Nintendo has confirmed that it will only review video and audio recording as part of its user report system. All recording is otherwise privately stored on device, and no recording is sent to Nintendo until a report is submitted. So in other words, a report gets submitted, then they can look at your stuff. But if they can look at your stuff only when a report is submitted, it means they can look at your stuff when a report isn't submitted as well. There's nothing that unlocks, as far as I can tell, if somebody submits a report, it doesn't unlock anything on your system. They just then have authority to listen and look at your video. Is that what I'm getting from that? From what I read? It doesn't seem like a report does anything but give them the authority to do it once a report is made, which doesn't mean they're not doing it anyway. If I have to be a little tinfoil hat here for a minute.
Only thing I'm pulling out of this is if we feel like it, we can brick your system.
Yeah.
That's all I'm pulling out of this.
People find ways around it. They always have.
Yeah,
That's true. You know, I did this to my Wii U. I turned my Wii U into an emulator.
Mm-hmm.
The Switch can be turned, or at one point the Switch could be turned into it. My DS was turned into an emulator. At one point the Switch could be turned into an emulator, and I think it still can.
Your NES Mini?
Yeah. Well, there's that too. That was, yeah. But you can, there's a lot of things that you can do with your machine, and you bought it. Feel free to do it to it. But understand, and they'll find out ways, but understand that, like, if you connect online, you run the risk of you know, breaking the rule.
Bricked, yeah.
Yeah. But they'll find a way around it. They always have. I remember, you know, doing emulations on games. It's like you need to turn off your Wi-Fi when you make the connection. Once you're in, you can turn Wi-Fi back on, and you're fine. But you have to skip it for that initial check. You know, otherwise it won't open for you. You know, it was never a sense of, well, if you do this once, they're going to, you know, brick your system. Now they can, seemingly, break your system so that you can never play it again. I've never really been on that sort of homebrew thing. I did a little bit with my Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm.
It's encouraged.
Yeah.
But never so much on the consoles.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy did something for me on my original. I had two Xbox consoles, the original Xbox.
Right.
And he took one of them and
the bulletproof ones, yeah.
Yeah. He took one of them and he did a whole thing on it. And I had just arcade games on there, just tons of stuff.
Yeah, it made me think about getting an Xbox, but simply for what he could do to one.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
And I had to put in. There was a specific disc I had to use in order to get to that menu, and I think it was Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, you had to have that disc in, and you were able to get to like a sub menu or something in the system because of it. I can't remember, but yeah, I liked it. All right.
I'm wondering what. I'm trying to wait. Want to see the reaction to the first bricking.
I'll be interested in that as well.
I'll be interested in seeing the reaction to that,
especially if it's unwarranted, right?
Or on a large scale degree.
Yeah, where it's a mistake on their end. Yeah. Well, see, that's to bring up my situation with Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Where
you were banned, and they never gave you a reason.
Never told me why.
Nothing to warrant that. You weren't cheating.
Never told me why.
You weren't cheating,
and there was no cheating going on.
They wouldn't tell you.
There was absolutely no cheating going on. There is, if you look at my records, there is no. There's no improvement whatsoever from cheating.
No bots, no cheats, no tools. No
nothing. You can see plain as day that I sucked in multiplayer, and nothing changed that. And I was not running anything to do that as well.
Yeah, it's just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, exactly. AC Wraith says it's fine. I mean, nobody ever suffers from false positive, right? Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly the point that I was making here, was that, they can, the fact that they have the ability to do that, and honestly, they shouldn't. Sure, revoke your account, that's fine.
Yeah.
Make your system unusable? That's a big old finger.
What's that, steep slope?
That's a steep slope. Mm-hmm. No, that's a cliff.
That's a cliff. Yeah, but based on their behavior in the past, are you surprised it's Nintendo?
Well, no, you're exactly right. We should have expected this coming to see how fast they were to do takedowns on YouTube and everything else. As clear as they were, I say as clear, as much of a grip as they have on their property.
Mm-hmm. Look how they operate against Palworld.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or
anybody who emulates their stuff.
Yeah, really, Palworld looks like it's almost an obvious sort of ripoff, even though it's not. But given their usual reaction to their property being used without their consent, this is not surprising so much. Mm-hmm. But it still bothers. Stop at the account. Yeah. Remove their account. If they make another one, they have to have specific information. If it matches any of that, then they can't make an account. If the credit card matches, if the address matches, if the email or name matches, I mean, it's fine. Just brick the account. Don't brick the system. Let them play their games. They bought the thing with their money. They bought it. Let them play it. I get it for Destiny. That's an online thing. Somebody's in there cheating and you get banned from it, then remove them from the game.
Mm-hmm.
But don't brick my PC.
Yeah.
Because you thought that there was cheating going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway. That's my thing. That's it.
Either way, we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Show's over. All right. Well, that's it for us, folks. Thank you so much for joining us again, and appreciate you giving us the time off there for the week. But we'll be back with more of In-Game Chat coming up next Saturday. We got music here from a game called Beetle Adventure Racing. And I don't mean the bug. I mean the car is what I mean. So anyway, that's what that is. Have a great week. We'll see you next Saturday.